Starting any new hobby, like woodworking with a scroll saw, can be an intimidating experience because there's so much to learn and so much to know. For example, one of the first questions you may ask is, what should be my first model of scroll saw? And that question itself can be very frustrating because there's so many models with so many features at so many price points that it can be bewildering. And so what I want to do is just share my experience with my first scroll saw with hope that I can share some information that will help you make your first choice, even if it's a different choice than I made. Now I've got two scroll saws right now. The first is this Wen scroll saw. I've had it a number of years, and when I bought it, it was probably around $80 or $90 new. And I have this Dremel scroll saw that my son found for me at a thrift store for $10. And I just ordered my third scroll saw. One of my most important considerations when I'm thinking about buying a new tool is how much it's going to cost. How many of these is it going to take? And there's two aspects to that consideration. One is, what is my budget at the time I want to make the purchase? And two, how much do I want to invest in a hobby that I don't even know if I'm going to like it yet? So in that spirit, I'd like to share some information with you about my first scroll saw, the Wen. Oh, and by the way, my name is James, and this is Homestyle Woodcrafts. Scroll saws are awesome tools that allow you to do intricate cuts like the ones you see on some of these projects. Scroll saws can also be used to fabricate custom pieces for your projects. You see one here and here that I made for Nancy's jewelry holder. All right, let's talk about features. My Wen scroll saw features this pear-shaped table. It is about 16 inches long and 10 inches wide. Now, in comparison, my Dremel scroll saw table is 12 inches wide. Now, of course, this would impact the size of workpiece you might want to work with on this size of table. The bevel on this table is adjustable up to 45 degrees in one direction. The distance from the blade to the back is 16 inches, and that's called the throat depth. And that also impacts the size of the workpiece that you can use. It will also impact the size of shop crocodile that you can fit on your table. The on-off switch and the variable speed dial are located on the front of the scroll saw underneath the table. The on-off switch features this safety key. If you remove it, you can't turn the scroll saw on. This variable speed has always worked well for me, and it is a feature I use regularly. This is the tension adjustment. You do have to use this adjustment to put tension on the blade. In this case, it's on the back of the unit. This is the adjustable LED light. Very configurable, but also prone to vibration, as I will demonstrate. Sometimes that kind of drives me nuts. This piece here is the dust blower. There's a little bellows here that's activated by the up and down movement of the arm, and it pumps air through this tube down through the blower. The purpose is it blows the dust away from your cut line as you're working on your project. And that's really important because the dust, if not blown away, will obscure your line of sight and make it harder to make accurate cuts. Let me demonstrate. Here is a close-up demonstration of the dust blower in action. This scroll saw does have a dust collection port, which is really nice and is helpful. What I don't like about it is its configuration. When I attach the hose that leads to the dust collector, it's coming right out at me and getting in my way. So not ideal. However, what I did is I bought this little PVC elbow and wrapped some electrical tape around each end so it fit, and then I slid it in there. And now I can attach my hose from the side and it's not in my way. So the configuration certainly isn't ideal, but I found a solution. The Wen scroll saw has this access panel, and it is screwed on here and there and there, as you can tell. I've already unscrewed it. That gives you access to the inside so you can clean it out. The access panel also has this little blade storage thing. Honestly, it feels kind of cheap, but I don't really use it. I store my blades elsewhere. I have a few here, miscellaneous old blades. In terms of how blades attach to the scroll saw, there are two types of blades. One is called the pin end blade, as you see here, and one is called the pinless or plain end blade. Now the pin end blade has these pins right here on the end, and the plain end blades do not. They're just are flat. And I'll show you how each of these attaches to the scroll saw. And in terms of the Wen scroll saw, it can use either. The blades attach to the scroll saw via the blade holder. There's two blade holders. This is the upper blade holder, and there's another one down here. I'll show that to you in a minute. The pin end blades fit into this little notch right here at the end of my finger. You slide it down the slot and fit it right there. In the bottom blade holder, it fits the same way. As I mentioned, the Wen can take both pin end blades and pinless blades. This shows a pinless or plain end blade in what Wen calls the blade attachment. That's this little unit here. And there's one for each end of the blade. You can see it better that way. The way this works is there are these two set screws on either side right here. And you basically just slide the blade in there and pinch it. And then I'll show you, but you then hang these pieces on the scroll saw using these little bars here. So notice the little hook here on the blade holder. All you have to do is hook the bar that's on the blade attachment onto that little hook on the blade holder. And it fits the same on the bottom. So the Wen method for attaching blades to the saw is definitely workable, but it's clunky and there's a significant drawback. And that is in regard to doing interior cuts, meaning interior to your workpiece. So let's take the pin end blade, for example. If you remove the top part of the pin end blade, there's nothing keeping the bottom part in place, so it will just drop out. So if you're in the middle of a workpiece and want to thread that blade up through an interior hole to do some cutting, it's very clunky and time consuming to do that. Similarly, with the pinless blade or the plain end blade system, these pieces are held in place by the tension between the two ends. And if you release that tension up here by undoing it to thread it through a hole, the bottom piece falls out. And so you have to either figure out a method to hold that in place, which I did and I made another video about. I'll put the link in the description. Or you have to find some kind of an adapter, which I also did. One downside to the Wen scroll saw is how much vibration it has. To dampen that vibration, I mounted it to this piece of MDF board. I used a piece of foam between the board and the saw, try to absorb vibration. I clamped all of that to this portable work table, and to all that I had added additional weight where I could find it, like this landscaping brick. And then over here on this side, I have some weights that I've been using, but still has a fair amount of vibration. Let me show you. And I have kind of an interesting way to demonstrate the vibration that involves my cat. The more speed you put on it, the worse the vibration gets. And what that vibration translates into is a little bit harder to control the workpiece, and it's more tiring as you work over time. Despite its downsides, overall, I think this model of scroll saw was actually a pretty good pick for me for several reasons. Number one, it fit my budget at the time. I didn't know if I was going to like a scroll saw or not, and I didn't have a lot of money to spend on a scroll saw. So I got this one, and it's been really good. I've been able to make a lot of projects that have given me satisfaction and given other people satisfaction as well. Nancy and I have participated in several craft shows where I used this almost exclusively to make the things that we sold. And even in one of those craft shows, I have made the cost of this scroll saw back several times over. Now, as I was doing research for this video, it looks like this particular model has been discontinued, but Wen has several comparable models still available. Now, another option for finding a first scroll saw is online marketplaces like Facebook Marketplace. I see them there often, or maybe you'll get lucky enough to find one at a thrift store. Now, I want to note that this is not a sponsored video. I have no connection with Wen. I just have some of their tools. Now, because this is the first scroll saw I got, I've been kind of focusing on issues with lower end scroll saws. But hey, if you've got the money and want to buy a higher end one right from the get-go, I say knock yourself out. Now, after watching this video, and being impressed with the quality and content of the video, I know that you're probably going to want to plan a watch party to watch more of my videos with your friends. Be a good host and offer up some good snacks. My snack recommendation, chocolate covered almonds, maybe some popcorn. Join the tens of other people that are watching my videos. Hey, check out this video, or maybe it's over here. I don't know yet, honestly, but it's a good one. Thanks for watching.